welcome our dear listeners and viewers to yet another interesting episode of the program Pilgrims of Hope, a program that is here to help us understand the bull of benediction by our Holy Father. We hope you are doing well and you are ready for today's discussion. Today we are discussing the migrant experience, welcoming the stranger. I am not alone. I am joined by my co-host as usual, Stephen. Stephen, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much, and I'm very excited, our dear listeners, to be here, and we hope to have an interaction with our studio guests in the studio here, so that they, enlighten us on today's topic.
All right. Today we have a special guest on the program today. But as usual, we're also joined by Father Arthur Ndembula, who's going to help us discuss the topic of the day. We are joined by the program's manager of Takuza, Sister Precious, of the Congregation of Sisters of Charity. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
You're most welcome. Father, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Okay, sister, how are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
We're doing good. We're happy to have you today. Okay. Yeah. Can you at least tell us what Takuza is all about?
Okay. So Takuza is a network under the Zambia Association of Sisterhoods. So it's a faith-based network whose mission it is to end human trafficking. So we do work around anti-human trafficking campaigns and also have a component on migration. So we work with different kinds of migrants.
Okay. Why is it important to have a safe migration?
Okay. So probably, if you remember from, the syllabus has changed, or curriculum has changed several times.
Yeah.
But if you remember from social studies, migration is pretty much people moving from one place to the other. And so to take it a bit further, there's regular migration and irregular. So regular is you decide then to go to whichever country with your passport and visa and everything's done right. And then there's the irregular, where people then move without the proper documentation. Mm-hmm. So what we then promote is safe migration. So meaning we want people to move in a regular way, those that move by choice. So that if you are deciding to go to South Africa, get your passport, get your visa, and go the right way.
Okay, and have you had any experience where migrants come to you and express the feeling about reaching in a new country, new place? How is it like? What do they actually say it feels like?
There's a mixture of emotions. There's there's joy, there's fear, there's hope, there's anxiety. Again, it also depends on how they moved. So even somebody who then, let's say Steve decides to go to the UK, even he's gotten his visa, he has his passport, even in him going in the proper way, the safe way, he'll still be anxious, but will be excited at the same time. Now imagine somebody who's come through an irregular way, has got no passport. There's a constant fear of immigration. There's a constant fear of the police. If he gets sick, he cannot even go to, let's say, the clinic. There are all these services that he won't be able to access. So there's so many emotions around migration.
Okay, sister, also the challenges that these migrants face, either they move on the regular, they use the regular process or the irregular process. Are there any challenges that they face or they might face if they reach in a new country?
Oh yeah. So among the first things that generally you would say for migrants of all types would be language. Language is something that's very big. Imagine I take you and I just take you to Korea. Starting from the signage. Exactly. Yeah. I'm sure Father Arthur, when he traveled to Rome, he too had that feeling of wow.
I have a huge testimony.
Just the language itself. Then there's also cultural issues, the different ways of doing things. There's something that I came across, and someone who actually said, being in a different culture after moving like that, it's like a fish out of water experience. You know how fish thrive in water. Yeah. They remove it out of water and it's like disoriented. So that's what it actually feels like. Among the challenges, then, like I mentioned earlier, issues of the law, the legal issues, immigration, police, you know, so it's a constant fear. I was telling some of the sisters I live with that even I'm on the road, you know, and I see traffic police, I become anxious a little bit. Yet I know I have my license, everything's okay, but it's just this thing of saying, oh, police.
Yeah, beautiful.
Exactly. Now imagine a migrant.
Oh. So, sister, if you can just paint a picture for us, the problem of migration, especially those irregular ones in Zambia, how is it? How rampant is the problem?
We actually do have a good number of irregular migrants. And some of these, from our work as Takuza, we've actually discovered are very much linked with issues of human trafficking. For example, I could go with the Eastern Province. You find, again, maybe it's I don't want to say cultural thing or it's a country thing. For example, here in Zambia, if someone comes for a peace worker, the first thing they might say, but then our brothers on the other side, Malawi, you're giving them a job. They'll say, okay, fine, I'll work for you for 3 months and you give me everything at the end of the 3 months. Their work culture is very different. So something that we actually picked up there is that Zambians will then go to Malawi, pick up the Malawans because they know they're very hardworking to come and work on their farms. And even when they tell them, Kudinchito, come this way, they come to Zambia. They don't even use the border, so they're already using an irregular way. They work on the farm for a good 6-8 months, 3 pin, imagine for a good 6 months. And then the day this guy says, okay, I think from my counting, Yasira, so a boss was Steve, exactly. Then what does Steve do? He calls immigration and says there's a foreigner here. So these are a good number of cases. So for us as Takuza, other than there's a movement, migration there, but then there's also a component of human trafficking, because then this person was exploited for labor. Yeah, so we have a good number of cases like that. Just here within Lusaka town, you know, we have different migrant communities. We even know Pachapa Madras, Papeza Kawandandani. When you go to Kanyama, to section Peza Kawandandani, like that. So even in these communities, when you actually go there and hear their stories, you find that the way they came was probably, you know, father saying, no, since we're from this country, come here, I will connect you. The person comes here, and then father would have facilitated a coming into the country without proper documentation. So we actually do have a good number of migrants in Zambia without documentation. So among the things that we are trying to do, sorry, Sajongo, is also try and engage these communities. I remember we met, there's some Ugandans, Somalians, there's a good number, probably like 5-6 countries. And they're saying, okay, now, yeah, we know a good number who don't have papers, so how can you help us? So again, we're trying to bridge the gap and say, immigration, look, we have these people, don't arrest them yet, but just help them know how they can put their papers right. So we're still trying to have a conversation around that and how we actually can help them, and also to educate them, saying, it's important that you get your papers right when you're in the country and follow the rules of the country. It's like I come to your house and, you know, I don't come in through the gate. I'm around your yard. You'll be uncomfortable, won't you? Yeah. Exactly. So you have to respect the laws of the country. So long story short, we have many migrants.
Okay. You mentioned of human trafficking, and they're using this mode where they're getting people from Malawi, bringing them to Zambia, and with the purpose of liberating them. Yeah. Are there any laws that are put in place for those people that bring those migrants to the other country, like in Zambia? Yeah.
So one of the acts, there's the Anti-Human Trafficking Act that was amended 2022, and a department has been set up under Home Affairs. So they're among the ones who are the coordinating office or custodian. So they actually investigate these cases. You see, issues like this, we've somehow deemed normal. They are not normal, but because we see them happening often, it's like it's normal and we don't even pay attention to it. So this is a part where we're actually educating people. So even under the Employment Act, you find there's something there. There are different acts, but our issue oftentimes is the implementation of these things. So this is where we come in, I think, as a church, to try and complement and say, okay, we have big platforms. We have parishes, we have parishioners, we have this and this. So we try and use these spaces to educate people, saying, when you do this, you're actually committing an offense.
Father, maybe how can us as Christians living with these migrants, especially the regular ones who have no issues with the law, how can we reach out to them so that they feel at home, comfortable, even when they are away from their countries of origin?
There's something that the Holy Father says in the Bull of Benediction. He says we are all human beings, and apart from that, we are all foreigners. No one can claim that this is my rightful place. Even those that claim I am the owner of this place, they are not the owners of that place, whichever place they claim to own. So, first of all, we are all human beings. Secondly, we are all foreigners, all just trying to survive here on earth. If I should claim that this earth is my place, is my home, then I'm as well saying I will live here permanently. Maybe I will never even die, because this is where I'm destined to live. But no one is destined to live here on earth. So what is then our approach, or is it our attitude towards those our brothers and sisters whom we want to refer to as foreigners. As people not from here? Yeah. First of all, we develop a spirit of accommodation. Yeah, that is important, to make them feel human, to treat them as human beings. The blood that is flowing there in their veins is the same blood that we have. So we are not more human than them. The fact that they are foreigners and we are the so-called owners of the land. So we treat them just as human as they are, as we would want to be treated ourselves. Should we go to a place, to another place which is not our home, so to say. Then secondly, we also acknowledge the fact that we are just passing here on earth. We are not going to be here forever. Yeah. So in as much as they are trying to survive, trying to find a living where they found themselves, we are also trying to do the same. That's why we have to wake up in the morning to go for work and to go and till the land. That we are all just trying to survive. The difference between them and ourselves is that we have been here longer. They have just come. But that doesn't make them less human than ourselves, or it doesn't make us special than more special than they are. So we have to develop this spirit of openness. In fact, in the document, the Pope is quite emphatic on this one, the spirit of openness. He makes reference to Jesus when he was a foreigner in Egypt. You remember the story of Jesus? Grace, you remember? Yes. We'll take you back to catechism. Yeah. At some point, even our Lord was a foreigner, running away from the let us call it the war of Herod. Some of these are brothers and sisters who come. Things are not okay, so they come to these places or to find a living, to find peace. So even Jesus had to run away from Herod to go and find peace elsewhere. So what is the point? The point is that we are all just trying to find peace wherever we are. We are all just trying to make a living wherever we are. So when we see these people that we want to refer to as immigrants or foreigners, they are not different. Illegal, yes. We even add that word. Yes.
Illegal immigrants.
Yes. Illegal immigrants. So we want to call them all sorts of names, but they are not different from ourselves. We are all just the same. So from the Christian perspective, let us try to develop a spirit of openness. It is okay to be skeptical about somebody you are meeting for the first time, because you don't really know who they are. You don't know their intentions. It's human to have that skepticism. Say nanga winindani afuna chan, but that skepticism should not like graduate into rejection, hostility. Exactly. It shouldn't graduate. We can question, but who are you? What are you doing? What do you have? What don't you have? And things like that, to try and understand them. But that should not make us close our hearts to this spirit of openness and accommodation.
Sister, there are those that who might have come irregularly, but their reason for coming is genuine. Probably they were fearing for their life. So what is the ideal situation of how to handle them? I know there is this legal issues. But what is the idea in your view, how to handle such cases when someone failed to, have this proper documentation, but their reason for coming are genuine?
So those also fall in their own category. So those ones you're talking of, these are asylum seekers and refugees.
Yes.
So those ones, if somebody is fleeing war, for example, like there are issues in Congo, someone comes to the border and will say, I'm actually seeking asylum. Immigration there will then pick them up and present them to Commission of Refugees. So there's actually a channel. Okay. But then if this person is fleeing war and persecution and decides to just jump the border, just go that way, they no longer cease to be these, and because those ones they need to be protected because they are fleeing something. It's not by choice, it's a necessity. Unlike someone who just jumps and says naendako ku Zambia, it's very different. So those ones is actually they just declare at the border and say this is my issue, and then they'll be handled as such, and then they'll be taken through a process where they now apply for asylum, and then they are interviewed and a good number of things, and after the process is complete, then they are deemed a refugee. They are given their paperwork, and then they can live safe in the country.
There's this difficult there's this difficult scenario for instance, me as a Christian, I live in the community, and there are illegal immigrants there, and the agencies, the law enforcement agencies are encouraging us to report these illegal immigrants. So it's very difficult for me to hand in that person to the agencies, having understood their plight.
Yes, but you see, that's the part where even if the person left their country because they are fleeing war, persecution or something, even if they are already here, they still have reason to go and present themselves and say, you know what, I entered from wherever and then no one directed me, so I'm here and I'm trying to seek asylum. So you could then encourage them, say, you know what, you can actually get your paperwork right. Go to Commission of Refugees and
go to Takus.
Yeah, and sure, and we might call somebody and say, there's somebody here, please. We actually had a case like that a few months ago. A family came in through Kasumbalesa, the Congolese mix of, there were about 6 or so. They actually came, and then they said they had heard of Caritas from wherever they were passing. So even when they entered, they came straight to the Catholic Secretariat. And I remember, so then we were called saying, oh, your people are here. And so we're, oh, okay, we have people.
Your clients.
Exactly. So again, through these interactions we have with key stakeholders, we inform them saying, oh, there are people here. And then UNHCR came in and collected them. And and then because they have a transit center where they can now begin the process. So you as a citizen, Mr. Chongo, have every right to actually, as Father was talking of openness, you then begin to have dialogue. Dialogue is very important. You are talking to your neighbor, you're talking to these people, saying, you know what, I know I've heard of your issue. You know what you can actually do? Go to Commission of Refugees. Because the issue then, if they don't present themselves to one of these institutions that is mandated to take care of them, once immigration catches them, immigration calls everybody PI, prohibited immigrant. So they will just be, where are your papers? You don't have. There's no story, no nothing. So one of the things that we do then as Takuza to actively then take care, because we believe we are each other's keeper. So these guys who are picked up by immigration, so we then actively then go to the correctional facilities like Mwembeshi. So we go with the form and say, your name, Mr. Chongo, where were you coming from? DRC. What was the issue? So you tell us, then we compile them, then we actually go, then we play the role of advocacy and say, okay, do you know as immigration that Mr. Chongo is actually a victim of human trafficking? It's not what you actually think. Oh, really? Then people come in and then something is done about your case. Because with them, it's just, where are your papers? You don't have them. All right,
sister, on the issue of misconception, we have immigrants in Zambia. We say when somebody is coming from a certain country, away, they sell things that are damaged and all that. What are other forms of misconceptions that have actually been reported to your offices or that you have heard? Some misconceptions about the immigrants.
Others are crooked. Others are here to get our jobs. You see, there are, for me, it all comes back to stereotypes. So I'm sure even when I talk to Venango are crooked, I'm sure even had a country come to your mind, right?
Yes.
I have one. I will not say that. I have one.
So you see, only, and then sometimes when you ask, if I ask father, that country you thought about, did you interact with somebody who was crooked? You'd be like, no, I just heard. So sometimes it's just the stories that go around, and maybe, So what we're actually saying is that, in father talking about being open, let's be open to people and interact with them as they are, because the misconceptions then block us from seeing them as people, as made in the image and likeness of God, and we fail to see them as our brothers and sisters because of this kind of misconception. So, crookedness, theft, issues of employment, but business. But then you see, maybe I'm jumping the gun here, but one of the positive things about migration, I don't know if you've noticed, in the last 10, 15 years, there's been a boom in business. Zambians are doing more business than before. And this is an influence of migrants. Yes, because you're like, and then, we keep hearing even the different people saying, there's money in Zambia. And the Zambian will be sitting at home saying, Boma Yangane. You know what I mean? So already they've pushed us. If you look at even the type of food we're eating, some of the food is not very typical to us, but we've begun to adjust. We are picking up, if you, even a couple of functions or weddings, look at the way people are dressed. You see wearing those Nigerian things because of interaction, and like, this is nice, and then I think one of the other challenges is that we don't pretty much have a national dress ourselves, so we really easily pick up
anything.
We pick up anything.
anything goes.
But do you have cases that you follow that involve Zambians who traveled out and they were found wanting? Issues of immigration.
Yes.
How do you go about it? Have you?
So a good number that we've come across like that, again, would have been maybe very much issues of human trafficking. But at the same time, so Zambians would have gone without proper documentation. So they are caught by immigration, or maybe even committed a crime or something there. So maybe through the embassy, they reach out to home or their family that, this guy is maybe finished his sentence or something, so he needs to be brought back. So one of the things that we always tell people here, that, the way you treat the migrants here is the same way that your brother or your sister who you have out there would be treated. So let's be nice and kind to each other. Yes. So the cases are there. Like right now, there's somebody who was telling me of, though it's very human trafficking related, the job opportunity. Like, Oman, Pakistani, as a maid, was for $5,000. So this person went and exactly like 1 year, nimanga mo nyumba, gola motoka na machani. So again, she got there, discovered it's not what it was, and then other than it being domestic servitude, it ended up being sexual exploitation. So now this person runs away and gets in touch with one of these international bodies, and so now they need to be brought back home. So then here locally someone is saying, let's put money together to bring that person back home. So there are issues like that.
Okay, our dear listeners and viewers, if you're just tuning in, we are on the program Pilgrims of Hope, a program that is here to help us understand the bull of indiction. Today we are discussing the migrant experience, welcoming the stranger. Do you also welcome strangers when they come to your house, or you run away? Okay, on that note, Father, hope. We come back to hope. What role does hope play in welcoming strangers?
I would rephrase that question. Actually, I would want it to go like
the migrants.
What role do we play ourselves in order to give hope to those
migrants
that come to our territories?
Our brothers and sisters.
Yes. Because when they come to our territories, they hope that they are going to have a good life. Maybe where they are coming from, there is war, Others, maybe there's no war. They are just looking for greener pastures, so they find themselves in your territory. So they hope that they are going to have a good life or a better life than what they've had. So now you, as the owner of that territory, have a duty to ensure that that hope is realized, that what they hope to find is actually there. First of all, by creating an environment, or let us call it an enabling environment, for them to come and settle, okay? For them to, if they don't have papers, for them to begin to pursue that, that path, to get the papers. If they are looking for business opportunities, we should create an environment where they can actually do business. If they are looking for formal employment and many other things that they want, for them to find peace or to find a good life. So we have to play a role. We can't just see people come and then nizawezo, they are your brothers, they are your sisters, okay? And when you're in a foreign land, you have to struggle for you to settle. So it depends on those that you find there. They need to show you where the hospital is if you are sick. You don't know where the school is, where you can take your children. You don't know where the market is, where you don't know. So it depends on those people that you find there. So when we are indifferent to their situation, then we are not helping them to realize the hope that they hoped they could find. They wish they could find where they've come to. So we have especially saying this from a Christian perspective, we have to play a role. But also, even just from a human perspective, we still have to play a role. There should be hope for those that come as foreigners. If you have never been a foreigner before, you are a potential foreigner. You never know what happens tomorrow. You might find yourself elsewhere. So sometimes you have to put yourself in the shoes of that person that has come to your place, to your land, to your territory, and play a role and help them to find hope.
Father, I'm sorry to cut you short. How do you keep hope? Like you're hoping to help this migrant, but there's this misconception saying this migrant is from a named country, and this particular person has got the motive of ritual. He's a ritualist or she's a ritualist. How do you keep the hope? I'm dealing with a ritualist.
But then how do you know?
Exactly. I was about to ask.
This I say it's a misconception. People are talking about
stereotypes.
Yes.
Okay. That's a tricky one.
Okay, for me, Father, as you are still processing that one, my next question is, you as Grace, have you actually had an interaction one-to-one with this person, this perceived ritualist? Sometimes we have, like, this person is a ritualist and this is what you've pegged them. So even to speak to them, you haven't, because there's this fear or something that has been put in you. But if you talk to them, you discover that they also just have the basic desire that you would have.
Exactly.
Safety, security, and they would be they might even open up and say, actually, Grace, people actually are saying that I'm this, but I'm not.
Yeah. You see, I live in a country somewhere in the Western world where this skin, the black skin, does not have a very good reputation.
No. Yes.
Yeah, because of some things that have been happening in the past. When some of our friends from that part of Africa, they go that side, they tarnish our names.
I'm telling you.
So generally, people there, when you go there and they don't know who you are and you have this skin, they don't want first to come close to you because they don't know what you're capable of doing, and maybe you are just like those others that. So I remember in school, I was actually in the school environment. So we are three of us with this skin. The black skin. No, mine is brown. It's black.
But I've heard of a colored person talking of racism. This person looks light, but they're still considered to be black.
Yes.
I'm sure that's what Father is trying to refer to. Him is brown.
I'm colored. I'm colored.
So Father, what happened?
So what happened? Yeah. So the first 4 weeks, I think 4 weeks of school, going to school. nobody knew that we were priests. The three of us were priests. So we're in this huge class of about almost 200 students, the rest European. So the three of us, just this. So you could feel the isolation. You could feel the coldness from others. They don't say hi to you. They are not sure who you are and whatever. So until we decided one day to go in our clerical shirts. So cleric. And that day we were the earliest to arrive, get in class, and we were seated. So everybody that was walking in, and we used to sit right in front, and yeah. So everybody that is walking in was, okay. So you could see that people are looking at you, but they don't know whether they should actually come and say hi or ask a question, but they have something to say. Yeah. So everybody walks in, and during one of the breaks, just one of them came. Are you priests? Yes, we are priests. Oh, really? So we've been learning with priests? Yes, you've been learning with priests. Then she turns, she calls the friends. Guys, these guys are priests. They are priests. And that was the beginning of a new relationship.
The turning point.
Good life.
A good life. Yes, thank you. A good life.
Yes.
Yeah, after that, everybody was all friendly and welcoming. Hey, those were Catholic. Padre. So you could feel the change in attitude and all that. Why am I even telling you this story?
We have to know. I thought we know that you actually experienced, like, you're not really, yes, like the isolation that comes with being in a foreign land.
Exactly.
Yes.
So would I say I was a victim of stereotypes? I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah. But to some extent.
Mm-hmm.
So people will have these stories about you because of where you come from. You know, if you're African, they'll have these stories. I'm Bemba. They say Bembas are thieves.
We are
Okay.
thieves.
Am I a thief? I don't know. So, so there are all these stereotypes, like what sister is saying. You know, talk to people. That's when you get to understand who they really are. Talk to them. Try to, if you don't have courage, try to cultivate some courage. You know, go close to them. How are you? Where do you come from? And try to understand people before you misjudge them because of the stereotypes. You know, because I mean, of course, we're not saying somebody from where they're coming from did not make a mistake at some point, whatever. We even those are the same guys from the Western world. We do have stereotypes about them because of things that happened in the past. There are all these stereotypes about people in the world. But for you to understand who Grace is, who Stephen is, who Sister Patience is, for you to understand, talk to them. Mm-hmm. Then that's when you know even how to treat them.
Wow, sister. Okay. In your week, which group, I don't know how you can categorize those groups, is very vulnerable to being an immigrant?
It's a difficult question to answer. Difficult in the sense that we have encountered, I think, all kinds of groups. So again, this is a mixture. This is migration in general. You see, again, maybe something I should have said in the beginning, like people will move for different reasons, like even those that will move in the regular way. Economic reasons. Others, it could be family reunification. So, or others, it's school. It's school. Like father was an education migrant.
Can you imagine?
Exactly. So there's like different groups. So it could be Mr. Chongo, somebody, BBC comes and says, you know, there's a program we want you to do for...
You see?
Then you move. So different age groups will move for different things. Yeah, I think that's the way I would answer it. There's no... And then it's just... I think the process then of the movement is what makes somebody vulnerable. So this is why we promote the safe migration. Because then if you don't have the right paperwork, the visa, the whatever, someone will come. Like I encountered a couple in Katete, a South African couple. So they had gone to, the lady had, I think, family in Malawi. So she had not seen her father in a long time. So they were there. So while, I think they were on a motorbike, someone stole her handbag. So while they were trying to get a replacement passport, just outside the passport office in Malawi, someone then says, no, actually, I can organize you a passport. Just, you know, since these guys are saying 2 weeks, you need to go in 2 days' time because of the children. no problem. So these people have good money, like, yeah, sure. Oh yeah, no, I work inside connections. Oh, fine. This person pays whatever amount of money they need to pay. Then they're told, let's meet at wherever at 06. So they get there. It says, do you have your bags? Oh yeah, you're ready to go. Sure. Don't worry, you find it at the border. You use the Zambia route. So these are people who didn't intend to, but because they found themselves needing a passport and the institution not able to give them. So someone says, let's go to the border. You find your passport there. They are put into a bus. In no time they enter into Zambia. That side towards Katete, immigration catches them. They say PI. Let's go. Tia. Walonga. So now in listening to the story, then you actually understand they actually just came to visit their family. So for me, when I look at issues of migration and how people find themselves in these situations, I actually see that this can actually happen to anybody. To anyone. That's why we have to be more compassionate. Have a compassionate heart, because there are so many these little things that your brother could be going to America, everything done properly, but then just something goes wrong and he ends up in the wrong place. So anyway, so this is how we actually then journeyed with this couple. Eventually they went back, but it took a bit of time, because they just, so for us then as Takuza, we don't name them as PIs. For us, they are vulnerable migrants. Yeah, vulnerable. That's the word that we use.
Sounds better.
It sounds better.
I'll ask further on the vulnerability itself. When it comes to gender, when they are in a not foreign country, in another country, which gender is very vulnerable to abuse? To
these days it's both. Both men and women. Women, I don't want to use that word. I really don't like it. Father, I was actually telling somebody that, it seems like it came from scripture, after Jesus breaking the laws and it says, not counting women and children. I really don't like those words.
That's the root,
Yes. So I actually think it's both genders. Yes. So it just depends on their particular circumstance, yes. Okay. Because like the example I gave you of the Chipata, most of those would be men. Would be men. Yes. And another interesting man we met in Chipata, we had been locked up maybe a good 6 months, or so, and he had finished his sentence. It was just a matter of going back. And then he was there telling us, Sister Nikachoka muno niwasi akazibanga. And so I'm like, what is the reason? He had married a Zambian, but then you see sometimes this ignorance. He's Malawian, married a Zambian. So it's like so he just crosses over using whatever route and feels I should be with my wife, but doesn't realize that he needs a marriage permit. So apaso nikachoka nikanamba tu kunimanga, and then you are looking at him saying, but panamangani ka number 1 unapunzire visira pasonza ndo kwatira kumalawa natawe mwina mwana mwina bana kudala, so imwe mkachoka mkainicha be kulembesa chikwati chana. So again there's issues of ignorance.
Okay, sister, how can a community, the schools, the workplace support migrants? To avoid this discrimination, to say, okay, we swam Zambia, we work at Kambela, check our accent, that's what how can these people support the migrants?
Okay, I think, the beauty about schools, I'm sure you have nieces and nephews. When you say something to them, they say, no, but teacher said. So it's at that point that I feel like the teachers or schools have a space where they can actually begin to teach that, we are all brothers and sisters despite, and even just do things like, cultural day of different cultures or cultural, these things where people then begin to learn about other people's culture. So then there's no stereotype, there's no stigma. So you see a Zambian playing with a Chinese, with the who, without any saying that no. So it's having programs like that, whether it's in the workplace. For example, workplace, if they are, you could just say, Mr. Chongo Kurujasanile, this week or next week we are going to do a cultural day. Come wearing an outfit from another country. You know what I mean? Or if there's somebody else from another country, they share about things like that. I know in religious circles they do that in the different congregations when they're in international. So it's programs like that could be deliberate put there so that people then begin to learn. I think those will be the beginnings of breaking barriers to what we perceive of other cultures. And probably even also then promoting, again, the aspect of safe migration, but also even the teaching, especially the young ones, well, adults too, they're the different lay groups and the different things that they do. Even, let's say, when they go to Chimbwakaila to visit, to remember that they are also vulnerable migrant women. These who, you know, like the Zambian prisoner has got a family member who take for them sugar and whatever it is. Now imagine there's 100+ of a certain nationality who are always found in the bush somewhere. They've been picked there in Mwembeshi, you know, and the stories we find there is that, you see, they don't know Shema, you know, and so the way they cook, so by the time they are doing this, Zambian would have... So the guys are thinning, you know, they are looking unhealthy.
The Zambians are looking healthy. But sister, what can be your advice to those people in Zambia, especially young people who intend to go for greener pastures? The issues of
human trafficking?
Human trafficking. Yeah, what should one do or look for when that opportunity is presented to them? What should they look for so that they don't get into that trap?
The red flags.
The red flags.
Or
Yeah.
rather, just to clear it up, sister, are there any lessons, or rather, you know, people need to know what is expected of them and what they should expect as they are moving. Are there any handouts or lessons that are being given to people to say when actually are being given a certain job? Because mostly people that are becoming migrants are those that are actually looking for greener pastures mostly. And then are there, you know, just to find this credibility, you are sure to say, okay, where I'm going, this is where I'm going, and this is what I'll find.
Okay.
Yes.
So one of the things that I say often is that when something looks too good to be true, that's, for example, like I was saying, exactly. For example, like the couple of jobs of maids, Chanchani, you go to the Middle East, Uzambo Fola, $6,000 per month. Even when you look at maybe a medical doctor, you know what I mean? So already it's like, okay. And then, so they that could be a starting point. And then the employer, you see, I know of a lady, like one of our survivors, was recruited from Comesa. Again, she went to Oman. So she was told, you ukwele bus up to Nakonde. Nakonde, get on a bus to Dar, get on a bus to Zanzibar. Zanzibar, then you get on a plane from there. You know what I mean? So already the traffickers are very clever that they know that when they use the KK International, by immigration, but where are you going? How much pocket money do you have? Who are you going to see again? We're withholding. So they know that police and immigration are doing their job. So even when the person is being told, oh, you go, this is the route you use, already
It's a red flag.
Red flag.
So again, if it's the job looks like it's like a white collar job, formal, you can then go through Ministry of Labor, can then help also verify the other side.
Exactly.
So we are also trying to find ways that even for scholarships, people can then verify and say, does that university exist? And is it truly giving those scholarships? One of the survivors we're working with, she was taken to Thailand. And then you see, one of the things that they said to her in the beginning was that, so Grace, inchi tui, don't tell anybody. Already that is something.
Yeah.
And then the Africans that we are, father, sikutama kama journey. Don't tell anybody. So already don't tell anybody. And then they told, get this visa, do this. And then she's like, oh, but wafuna my bank statements kwa visa. Then they're like, no, don't worry. So these traffickers supply her with bank statements of banks here in Zambia. Already that is a red flag. So so situations that differ, but then there are little things that you sit and say, why was a good? These guys are not in Zambia, and how come this bank statement is in my name, but I don't have the account? You know what I mean? So, so there are things. There are things like that.
And the other thing, sister, the one who wants to find a job for you is the one who is almost begging you.
Yes, too eager.
Pushing you.
Yes, exactly.
Really, what happens is you you've been going through a lot, like you've been job searching for a long time. You know, mostly we feel vulnerable when we see an opportunity calling at us like that. We'll be like, maybe Mulungu Ayanka Mapempelo Yanga, without knowing that you're actually falling in a ditch.
It's too good to be true. And you see, the thing about people who actually recruit, who take part in this process, are people we trust. So someone who, and then they'll be like Steve is saying, no, please, Grace, just take the job. It's very good for you. You need to ask yourself, I say, okay, let me get a third or fourth opinion. Let's see how. But if you keep it to yourself and then Wachongezano is whispering in your ear, just go. You don't know, maybe it's been told, Akaenda check Grace, ime tupini again. You know, so there are all those things. So we are asking people to be very cautious. So for me, it still comes back to when it looks too good to be true. Just know there's something.
Yeah.
Yes.
Happy ever after in 2 days time.
There was a period South Africa. A lot of young people from where I come were promised Yomangasis. And they were even recruiting others. Most of them came, went, and others came back, you know, in a sorrowful state. Yeah. So there are certain, and there are seasons. There's season for this kind of employment,
and
these, and countries. So
and then you see, when you're saying that, Mr. Chongo, reminds me of one of the sisters. So we have teams in the different dioceses that we work with, sisters and priests who raise awareness on human trafficking. So this sister, somewhere Kasama, that direction, was talking of how this guy coming from South Africa, they know him in the village. He says, no, I want to marry. And they quickly find that he even describes who he wants to marry. Yeah? Then he says, no, not vamu church. Voice announce, we don't have time. Let's checheka, fast marriage. So within that week, you're saying, no, I have to go back to work this day. They get to the airport, South Africa. This guy then says to the girl, saying, I have to go, so you get into the taxi that will come. I'll find you kunyumba. I've gone to get a paper and something. That's how this girl enters into this taxi and never saw the guy again. Right. The taxi definitely took her, but not to her home. Turns out it was to a brothel. So kunyumba kumunzi baziba kuti mwana anakwatiwa bwino ku South Africa. I'm sure maybe in Kabna anasoesa manamba. That's how the girl was there months and months, brothel, one client after the other, until she decided to run. And then how God's providence, that's how this particular sister had gone for a program in South Africa. And she knew them, the congregation. She says, sister, I'm actually Zambian. This is my issue. That's how sister quickly took her to the Zambian embassy. And that's how this girl was brought back. So these are not stories that are far-fetched. These are things that we actually experience every other day. Yeah. So even Nachikwati, fast, we have reason to work. Per Facebook, no, I love you, in no time. You should come, I will send you a ticket.
Your sister Makamba.
Grace, Mumbera venema kamba.
Rafata Hausen.
Your sister Makamba. So apa muzati vikwati vankalako. It's actually it is
but you know
and girls are actually using these routes, you know, when they mostly it's so sad that people want to make that name. No, anakwatwa kumzungu. Because it's now trending. I think it's a trend now because almost everyone wants to get married to a white man. And then in such incidences, that's where we find ourselves being
trafficked.
There's again, I'm sorry, I have 1,000 stories.
Please.
You're on the ground.
I'm on the ground. So there's a girl somewhere so how she was taken by a church. Mapempa no mwana tampeleka ku school. She was taken to England. The girl was gone for a good 2 years. The next time, she didn't hear from them for some time. The next time the girl came, and a boy so katini in no time mambo the time they took her to the hospital, gone. So this girl, when she went there, school, they were kumpangisa kuti akazitacha na maimbwa and they were filming it. And that's how they were making the money. And yet kuno kamba mwana achita chani at school. So even these ones who offer chani, let's be careful. Then in relation
just like you said, sister, everything that seems too good has got a very negative impact.
You have to
So and then one of our survivors who was taken out of the country, the one that was taken to Thailand, she was recruited to recruit. So when she got there, but then she was given targets. So when she describes what would happen, well, come in a room like that, and then they'll have multiple profiles per Facebook. So I'm talking to Grace, I'm a handsome white man. Then next I'm talking to different profiles, and so I'm trying to woo you. And so here Grace in Lusaka is I met a guy, not knowing she's talking to me, and then she's talking of how with the use of this AI, so even if they do a video call, it still looks like it. The guy, you're busy. We even did a video call. He's real.
He's engaged Paul.
So those are the issues.
So it's actually important to be very wise. You see, you shouldn't allow yourselves to be overtaken by your desperation for a good life, for a good marriage, for school, for what. Try to, because these things always come with these flags we're talking about, and you should be wise enough to read. Don't ignore anything. If you naturally feel uncomfortable about something, try to persuade, try to check, is this real, is it authentic, it's not authentic. Don't just brush it off with if it makes you feel uncomfortable, don't sweep anything under the carpet. Try to study the whole process from the beginning, the people involved. Ensure that everything is authentic before you make any final decision. Otherwise, tomorrow you also be part of the statistics. And you see, and when you're talking of pressure, marriage, whatever job, for me, I've truly come to believe that God gives us things at the right time.
Exactly. And the time will always come. Just that we want things now. But maybe God is still putting a few things in place, still wants you to grow a little bit. But it will happen. It's just that the challenge is, I think young people nowadays, you know how our parents would have worked 30 years and bought a house. Young people want to buy a house within 1.5 years. 1 month of working. The pressure to do things to keep up the status and whatever, it's too much, you know, and it's not
exactly.
So
now and here, don't want that much.
Timafuna instant.
That's the only problem.
But many because my sisters on a pressure. What's up? Mzako watu 2 years. Anakajila. Imagine.
Anakatenga bwana. You see, that's the thing.
That's the question.
This is where I was actually telling somebody now. Even kumbwa hivi. Uzadaba uja mtu sagona na usiku. Asa wamena chitakushi.
Exactly.
There's this picture that always trends per social media, like people putting on red gowns, and mainly these other social media platforms that like to share them, and then the caption would be like, these are the people you compete with, like about showing at like people in a shrine. You know, I think we should raise more awareness. Us youths should actually know how we are supposed to obtain this wealth.
Exactly. Just take it easy. Like things will come. Work hard, just the right way. Just do things the right way. Go to school, get a job. Come, 500. Dizakara 1 pin. Eventually, it will build up, and you have a clear conscience that you have not stolen. You have not, Unlike where you are so guilty, unachita chani for the wealth that for people are just seeing for a few seconds, and yet you are struggling with your conscience afterwards.
Okay. I'll start with Father as we are winding up.
Already?
Yes.
It has flown.
And time has moved. I wanted to listen to more. So, Father, your words to the immigrants and also the community at large about the experience of immigrants and how best we can help these people.
Well, the first thing I would say to...
Or just to make it... Father, you talk from the Christian perspective. Then sister will give us from the from the theory to go aspects.
Since sister is not a Christian.
No, she is. No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. Sorry, sister, if it sounded like that. But I just want it to be like that because your field of work.
She's more on the ground. Like
yes,
she's dealing with
her field
issues.
of work is actually dealing with that. So we want the more theoretical and practical way. So Father, give us a Christian.
Okay.
Yes, advice.
Yeah. So the first thing that I would want to say to the immigrants, in case somebody is watching us, they're an immigrant and they're struggling to, first of all, make your stay in that foreign country, foreign land regular. You know, don't be comfortable. You shouldn't be running away every time you see the police. You're running away and all that. Try to make efforts to make your stay in that place regular. I think there are channels. Sisters explained some of the channels that can be pursued for you to get the papers that you need, you know, for you to live in that country. Then to those that let me use the word so-called owners of the land, because no one is the real owner of any land. Yeah. So those of you that are the so-called claim this is my land, this is our land, this is our country. Try to have an open heart. Try to look at that brother, that sister that has come to your place with genuine concern about their situation. Try to understand their situation. Don't be prejudiced about them. Talk to them. Ask them, how can I be of help to this person? They are here in my country. Maybe they are running away from war. Maybe they are here for school. Maybe they are here to just for greener pastures. There are many reasons. If I don't talk to that person, if you don't talk to that person, you don't understand their real situation. You just treat them like, he's just a criminal. She's just a what? So try to have a heart that is open. Try to approach those people and talk to them, understand their situation, and see how you can be of help to them. Finally, from the Bull of Indiction, the paragraph that is talking about immigration is very short, very small. The Pope is very clear on this one. He says, we are all just trying to survive wherever we are. Whether you are saying this is my land, whether that person is a foreigner or whatever we are all just trying to survive, to have a good life, to have peace. We are all just trying to be people of hope. And so the best we can do for one another is to create an environment and a spirit of accommodation.
Sister.
Oh wow, I'm still trying to absorb everything Father is saying. Yeah, I go back to saying, if something looks too good to be true, be careful. And for the young people out there, take your time, work hard, be cautious of things that will come, that will just try and entice you, and probably as our spirituality is centered around the Catholic social teachings. And I think I love the first one that talks of the sacredness of human life. Like each life is sacred. And that, I also like the other one that talks of how we are each other's keeper. So let's be careful, let's be cautious, let's be kind, let's be compassionate to our brothers and sisters. Because it's out of being compassionate and loving and kind and all of these things, will we actually treat each other better? And, and so then, should we have migrants living in our communities, we'll be able to respond to them with openness, as Father had said. We'll be able to have dialogue with them despite the stereotypes. And for the people that are actually in the country without the right paperwork, you can still make your stay legal and have pathways towards that. And for those looking for opportunities, job opportunities, or seeking to employ people, do the right thing. We are not supposed to exploit our brothers and sisters. It could be your brother, your cousin, your auntie, somebody who would be doing the same thing to another person. So let's be kind. And others will say, let's pay it forward. I'm kind to Mr. Chongo. Mr. Chongo, be nice to another person, and it goes on. And the world can be a better place if we actually all took time to be kind to each other.
Wow. You know what? My takeaway message today is what Father said. We are all potential immigrants, so let us treat each other well.
Yes.
Okay, our dear listeners and viewers, we have come to the end of today's interesting program. Hope you have learned one or two on today's program. Please do join us again next week, same time, same place. From Radio Maria and Lumen TV Zambia, I have been your host, Grace Kasapato. For now, it's bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.